Our snowman ended up fantastic. I am so pleased with the way it turned out. Hey you guys, I'm so excited. Today I'm going to show you how to make this interlocking snowman. Super cute, and the way it comes together is just two pieces that interlocks like this. And this makes it so handy because, well, when you ship it, you can ship it flat. So we'll eliminate the risk of breaking. Also, when people use it for Christmas decor and then they need to store it for the next year, it doesn't take any space at all. So super nice design. Happy with the way it turned out. I'll be making a whole bunch of these guys. So that's what we'll be making in today's video. And you can make this with pretty much any shape. I have a Christmas tree here that I showed you guys in the last video how to make. The same technique basically, and so many of you guys wanted this pattern. So I decided in this video, not only we will be building this snowman, but I'm going to show you how to design a pattern for it and how to make a template. And you can do this with any shape. I've made it with Christmas trees and snowman. I'm also going to make a snowflake one. So I'm going to teach you how to make this. It's really easy. And this snowman was my second one that I made. This is the first one I made. The first one, I thought the proportions was all wrong. I didn't like, the head was too big, the hat was too big. So this is my second version of it. Without any further ado, let's get right into it. Let's go to the computer and see how you design something like this. Hey you guys, here we are into Inkscape, and Inkscape, it's a free program you can just download. Anybody can use it for absolutely free, and I'm going to show you how to make those interlocking figurines. Today we will do a snowman. I already drew a snowman here, but I'm going to show you how easy it is. You can use, over here you have your tools on the left side. You can use your pen tool and you can basically draw things. I'm not going to use that because that takes a lot more practice, and I feel like I just want to make it simple for everyone to be able to do this. And the snowman, it's a really easy one because we can just work with shapes. So I'm going to take a circle here and I'm just going to draw a circle. Let's see, I'm going to make it, if I click here on this arrow, click on my circle, I can see the measurements here. So I'm just going to make it 6 inches. So make it 6 by 6. So it's perfectly round. You don't have to make it perfectly round, but this is what I'm doing. So I have a 6-inch circle here, and now I can just right click on it and duplicate it. And you can see now we have 2 circles. And for this one, I'm going to make this one smaller. I'm going to lock here the aspect ratio so it stays perfectly circle. And I'm going to make this one 4.3 inches. So there you go. That is our second circle. I'm going to right click, duplicate again. And you can see this is our third circle here. And this one, this time I am going to make it, this is going to be the head. I'm going to make this one 2.5 inches. So we have 3 circles. I'm going to select them all just by dragging over them. And I'm going to go here. This is the align and distribute. And I'm going to align them to the center, just like that. Now, I need to move, you see how here they're overlapping a little bit more. So I'm going to take this one, and with the arrows on my keyboard, I am going to move it down, maybe something like that. And that is not looking too bad. So now I will select them all again. And I'm going to go here. I don't know if you can see my mouse over here into the shape builder tool. I'm going to click on that. And now I can just drag and pick whatever shape I want. And I'm just going to merge all of this into one shape. And then click this OK button here. So there we go. That's the basic shape of our snowman. Now let's make the hat. I'm going to take this circle tool again. And you can see you can just drag it and make an ellipse basically. So I'm going to take that ellipse, put it over the head, maybe something like that. And then for the top hat, I'm just going to take a square maybe and place it in there, something like that. And now I am going to select all of the shapes and align them back to the center. So now going back to the shape builder tool, and let's see what we get. Select them all like this. Say OK, and we have something that resembles a snowman. Now, if we make two of them and interlock them, they're not going to stay flat. We need to have a flat surface here on the bottom. So I'll take a square and kind of drag something like this. And now with the select tool, I'll select both of this shape, go back to the shaper builder tool, and I'm just going to select that part and say, okay. Oops, it didn't select. Let's try this again. Shape builder, I'm just going to select that part and say, okay. All right. So now it's sitting flat. Now, any of these points, we can actually modify them if we want to. So if I go over here to these nodes, you see this is all the nodes that makes this shape. So I can grab a node and I can, you know, make, if I want to make the hat just kind of go a little bit more wider at the top, I can do that. If we want to round over maybe these corners here, I can select one point and go here and say I want to round that. And if I make these arms smaller, it makes it more subtle. And you can play around and make whatever shape you want. If you want it to be symmetrical, let's say I make this one way wacky here, and this one it's different, and I want to make sure that my snowman is symmetrical. What I can do is select it, and I'm going to right click and duplicate it, and then I'm going to go here and flip it left to right. So now you see we have two of them. Let me go Command Z to undo that. So now they're on top of each other, so I can select them and go to the shaper build, and now I can just select the parts I want to make it symmetrical. So let's say I want to take this wider part, and maybe I want that one too. And now we have a perfectly symmetric, but it's completely weird. So let's say okay. Now I can go back to this point and I can just delete these points or add points. You can do whatever you want to design your snowman. Now, like I said, I already designed this one, so I'm going to delete this one. We'll continue with this. So I'm just gonna duplicate it, bring it here on the page. I'm gonna duplicate it one more time because we need two of them to create the top and the bottom part. So here is one snowman. Now we need to put a cutout. One of them will have a cutout on the bottom, the other one will have the cutout on the top. How it determine the size of the cutout? Well, let's see. This snowman right now, it is exactly 11 inches. So I'll take half of that, which will be 5.5 inches. So I'm gonna take my rectangular tool. I'm gonna draw a rectangle, and with the select tool, I'm going to select it. And I'm going to make it, I said the height needs to be 5.5, which is half of the height of the snowman. So that is going to be 5.5. And then I'm going to unlock this aspect ratio because right now we have to determine the width of this slot. And the width of this slot is the thickness of the material you are going to work with. For me, I am going to make the snowmans out of a 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to put here 0.5. If you're working with 3/4 inch material, then you will put 0.75. So this is the slot. I'm going to right click and duplicate it because we need two of them. One is going to go with this guy and one is going to go with this guy. So I'm going to select both of these guys, and I'm going to go here into the align and distribute. I'm going to align them to the center and align them to the bottom. So now they're all lined up on the bottom, and now I can go back to my shaper builder tool and I can just select this and say okay. And there you go. This is our snowman with the slot at the bottom. I'm going to move it out of the way for now. And I'm going to take these two guys over here and align them to the center, and this time to the top, because this one is going to have the slot to the top. So now they are aligned, and go back to my shaper builder tool and select this part and say okay. So now this one has a cutout to the top. So as you can see, when we line them one over another, they should line up perfectly. And this is how we design our snowman. Now, one thing that I like to do, that I've been doing lately with this kind of designs, I like to take the one that has the slot on the bottom, And I like to make the slot just a tiny little bit deeper, because when you trace with a pencil, you're actually losing about a millimeter on this side and then a millimeter here just from the pencil mark. So then you will find out that the bottom doesn't sit totally flush. So because of that, I like to make this groove a little bit higher. When I do that, I like to make a grid on my paper. So I'll go to document properties, and then I go here into the grid. And I'm going to enable this grid. I created this grid here. If you see the spacing, it's a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch, and it has major grid lines every 4. So every 4 quarters, so that makes 1 inch. So now these darker blue lines here, those are 1 inch, and the tiny squares are 1/4 inches. So I can take this and place it here on one of the main lines. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm saying. So these ones are 1 inch, and these tiny squares are 1/4 inches. So now that I see that this here, I am going to go to my node tool. I'm going to select both of these nodes. And with my arrow key on my keyboard, I'm going to click 3 times going up. 1, 2, 3. So now that slot, it's a little bit taller than 5.5 inches. So if I select, let me make the lines a little bit thinner. I'm going to go here into the stroke style, and I'm going to make the lines thinner so you can see it a little bit better. Nope, not thicker, thinner. All right, and let's see. I'm going to zoom in again so you can see. So if I take this guy now and I line them up to the bottom, let me line them up over here. Align to the center. So you can see now we have a tiny little bit of gap there, and that will ensure our pencil line that the bottom will sit totally flat. So let's see, if I'll make this one, let's make it a different color. Stroke paint will make this one red, and that one is black. And now I am going to overlap them again. So you can see just a little bit of gap in there. And this is how you design this interlocking figurines. It's super, super easy. You can do it with any shape. I've done it with Christmas trees. You can do it with pumpkins, witches, whatever you might like. Snowflakes would be cute. So I sent the design to my laser, and I cut some acrylic templates. Acrylic templates is going to help me trace this accurately, cut it accurately, and it also makes for repeatable work. So I can make as many as this as snowmen as I please, and they will all be the same size. I have a piece of mahogany here, and I'm going to trace both templates. I like to put my template at the edge of the board. That way I know that side is flat and I don't have to cut it. One less cut I need to make. So here you see me tracing the first template, and then I will trace the second one on the other side. After I looked at the first template I traced, I didn't like the defect that the wood had on the left bottom corner, so I'm gonna take an eraser and erase it and then retrace it. And here is, I made an error that you might be able to see it or not, but when I retraced it accidentally, I grabbed the wrong template, and I retraced the same template I traced on the other side. So now I will have 2 pieces with the cutout on the top. Both of them will have the cutout on the top instead of having one with the cutout on the top and one to the bottom. Eventually I did notice my mistake, so I had to go back and trace another one and cut another one with my scroll saw. But mistakes happen. I left it in here just so you can see that everyone makes mistakes. After I traced my templates, I did cut the board in half with my miter saw, just because it makes it a little bit easier, more manageable on the scroll saw. And then I cut both pieces on my scroll saw. This went really quickly because the material is only a 1/2 inch. The wood is fairly soft. So in about 10 minutes, I had both of the templates cut out. So super, super simple. I'm not the best at cutting with the scroll saw, but I think I did an okay job. I really enjoyed using my scroll saw lately, and I've been making lots of projects with it. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to ask me what scroll saw I use, and as you can see I use a Pegas. However, I do not recommend it. I've had lots of problems with the scroll saw, and nobody would fix it in the US because it's made in Europe. So just get yourself something else. Do not get the Pegas. Now with the templates cut, I took them to the drum sander because like I said, when you trace something with a pencil, you're losing about 1 millimeter on each side. And excuse my mess behind me, but I've been doing a lot of these projects on the scroll saw. And what I'm doing here, I'm running each one of those pieces through the drum sander, and I keep test fitting it to make sure that it fits into the slot. And when I get one to fit into the other, then I move into the next one, and I repeat the process with both of them until they all interlock without any issue. Now back at the bench, you see that extra piece there. That's the one that I accidentally cut that had the same cutout at the top. So, you know, mistakes happens. That's okay. I was able to fix it and we moved on. The pieces are fitting perfectly right now, maybe a little bit tight, but after we do the final sanding on this snowman, it should fit absolutely perfect. I do take some sandpaper and round over all the edges and smooth everything out. The snowman itself, we will not need a lot of sanding because I use 180 grit sandpaper on my drum sander. So the only thing I need to do is run some 220 over it, and then it will be ready for finish. For the finish, I like to use this All Master Gel Poly. It is a fantastic finish and really easy to use. To apply this gel poly, super easy. You can use a rag, a brush, whatever you have on hands. I'm using a little bit of both here, and putting a generous amount all over my snowman. I'm using the brush to get in all the crevices. Then you let it sit for 1 to 2 minutes. Then you come back with a clean rag and wipe off all the excess. Other brands have really good gel poly as well. I like the general finishes, but this one, it is a little bit thicker, and for some reason I like the finish better. So this is what I'm using for a lot of the projects, especially for these Christmas ornaments. So you saw me putting the gel poly, and now with a clean rag, just wipe off all the excess. Super easy. And like you saw, the project was really easy to make. This is the way they interlock. I think it looks fantastic. Very happy with the way it turned out, and I'm hoping you will make this project and sell lots of them. But very pleased with the way it turned out.